Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you. This is another episode of the JAMS Football Show with Kyle and Horace. I am Kyle,
I'm Horace.
and we are of the Gladiators. We're reeling at the moment, but we are in a playoff game, if you will. It's starting a week early for us. Winning, we're in. If we lose, we're done, Horace. That's what we're facing.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. I mean, if we just won a few more games, we wouldn't be in this situation. But here we are. Our season's on the line. Our playoff hopes on the line. Here we go.
Yeah, it's interesting that we happened to tie the same exact week, I believe, that Hurricanes also had a tie. So it just goes to show you that even a tie, it could really go a long way in this league. And really, if we had not had this tie if we didn't get this tie, Horace, like if we had lost that game
then
by
we would be out.
Knights, we would definitely be out. But the simple fact that we got that tie and that Hurricanes also got that tie, rather than getting a win in that game against Union, now we got ourselves in a situation that if we win, we'll have the same exact record as them, and they will still beat us in point differential, but we would have the head-to-head record over them.
Well, it must be bittersweet. But let's jump right into our power rankings.
Yeah.
It's been a 2-week hiatus for you. How's it feel?
I miss the show. I always miss doing it, man. It was nice to say I did watch your show in full last week, so
it was a little bit shorter. I felt a little awkward basically just talking to my computer for like 15 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it was.
It was short and sweet. That's kind of the way you like it. But anyway, let's go to our picks.
All right, you go ahead.
As you said, 2-week hiatus. So I'm looking at stuff right now, and I'm looking at my power rankings, and I'm lining them up with yours. And I think that you have Hurricanes over Boonton. That's the switch that I got. I mean, that Boonton win against us was pretty convincing, my man. Hurricanes win was pretty convincing over a better than the record says Code Red team. Other than that, that's the only difference between us. But I'm looking at my power rankings, and there's just one difference between mine and the standings. And the difference is that, let's see, Spartans is at 2, Union's at 3. I have Union at 2, Spartans at 3. Other than that, it is the exact same.
Wow, I actually didn't notice that at all. I mean, Swag's been one of the top 2 teams all year. I had them switch between them and Spartans. Spartans, that lost to Union, did drop them. It was a Union, right?
Yes, Spartans lost to Union.
And I think the Union have been on a bit of a hot streak lately. Like, if you look at their past couple games, like, after the Hurricane tie, they beat the Spartans and beat the Knights. Those are 2 of the top 4 teams. I think we have to give the Union their respect right now. They're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, not only did they beat the Knights, but they put up 24 points against the Knights. And Horace, I don't know right off the top of my head, but the Knights probably gave up, coming into that game, less than 24 points on the entire season.
I think it might be. I mean, honestly.
Let's see. I mean, listen, the first 3 weeks, no points allowed. 6 points. Week 4, 8 points. Week 5, so that's what, 14 points. 6 points.
I mean, they've only given up 51 on the year. They've only given up 21 on the year, so they've given up 27 total.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, yeah, Union we knew that they were a dangerous team. They always are a dangerous team. You know, I remember our first year in the league, I remember the forums, I think, were a little bit more active, I would say.
I mean, you had the QB doing his power rankings, the QB being Rajab, of course. Our own teammate, Riga, used to comment on it a lot, too. He used to just throw a little trash talk in there. Honestly, the forums have died down a lot lately.
Yeah, it's a little sad to see, but honestly, Horace, what I remember from that year was I don't know if it was Ahmed Naeem or who exactly it was, but someone from Union's like they had dropped maybe 2-3 games that year, and people started to doubt them. You know, seemed to kind of write off the fact that they had already won 2 championships. And then Union just got hot towards late in the season, and they ended up winning a convincing game over the Hurricanes in the championship game. So kind of like how we were starting to doubt them at the beginning of this year, all right, maybe the Knights have surpassed them. The Spartans maybe have surpassed them.
They just proved us wrong. They made us eat our words.
Exactly. And, listen, they're the older team. They got, but they still know how to win. And Mustafa Abbasi, it's kind of crazy to think, that he just as good as he is. He just knows how to go up and get the ball. You've said that you've seen several catches yourself where, he's got 2-3 guys draped over him, guys that are bigger than him. So I think it was Sami Shaban that was saying that he caught it was Zach Ramjan he was saying actually, but I think he's had a couple good matchups against guys that are way bigger than him, where he just goes up and gets the ball.
Yeah, he's just really good at high pointing the ball. That guy's timing and vertical ability, just unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think one of the main things too is just the rapport that he has with Rajab. It's kind of Montana to Rice-esque.
On a much, much smaller scale.
much smaller scale, but hey, give him credit where credit's due. So
how do you feel about the team that I think these guys are your biggest fans, the Spartans?
Our biggest fans?
No, your biggest fans.
Oh, my biggest fans. Well, like I said, Swag is the number one team in my opinion. I know they dropped the game to them, but I think Swag has still showed that they're the top dogs. We have them at the top. The actual standings have them at the top, and Swag's been hot lately. And listen, I think we realized that Spartans was going to lose at some time. I don't think that they were going to go undefeated. Our first year in the league, they started off really hot as well, maybe winning their first 6 or 7 games. And I think that they actually, that season before we got in the league, Hars, from what I remember Ahmed Qatanani telling me, I think they started 0-5, 0-4, and then they won like 5 in a row or something like that. And so maybe they dropped a playoff game. I don't know what they did in the playoffs that year. But really, they were hot at the end of that 2011 season and really started off hot in the 2012 season. But yeah, so we're looking at the past 2 weeks versus Spartans, and you have a 12-20 loss to Union, which is certainly very respectable when you factor in how hot they're playing recently.
And not only that, it's a top 4 team. Top 4, I think there should be top 4 games should be judged a little bit more differently just because they're so much more competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to think that, we've never really taken part. We've played the top 4 teams, obviously, but we've never been a part of one of those top 4 games. We never really made a meaningful playoff game where, let's be honest, because this is a rec league, you have to think like every game in the NFL, people are going to get up for. You got contracts, millions of dollars on the line. Not necessarily the case with JAMS. It's hard to get sometimes some people to show up. But you have to think that in certain big-time games, there's just a little bit added juice. And I have to think that those top 4 games, you're going against the top competition, that players definitely – get up extra. So anyway, going back to the VS game, their most recent game, this is a 28-0 win. I was kind of breezing through Big O's post, and I think he said, tip their cap to them. They played hard, but I think he said that they didn't feel the full field of guys. VS.
I think there was something like that. They only had like 9 guys or something.
Yeah, so 28-0 is still a pretty convincing win, but you'd think that being that Spartans is such a great team,
and
that VS is a bottom 2 team, maybe they could have put up a little bit more. But who knows? This could have been even. I don't know if VS even moved the ball at all in this game. So maybe it's a little unfair for me to say that, Hart.
You're asking for it.
I guess I am, but we've seen teams put up more against GPAC, 46-0, 42-0, 38-0. Even at the beginning of the year, VS lost 38-0 to the Knights, and I don't know if VS had a full team that game, but let's be honest too, VS is playing better. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm wondering. Listen, they also had a 42-0 game recently, the Spartans. Okay. But I'm just wondering, are they starting to slow down a little bit? Are they starting to lose that momentum just a little bit? because I
Okay,
think
that is a little bit more fair, just because they do have the Union loss, and then I'm not gonna say that 28-0 is just like they should have put up more points, because that's still 28-0.
I hear you. I hear you. But listen, 20-0 in jams is crazy because these games are not long. So
Mhm.
listen, I'm not going to be mad at them for a 28-0 win. I'm just wondering, could it have been a little bit more impressive? Because listen, this Spartans team, I'm going to tell you right now, anything less than a championship, I think this Spartans team is going to be disappointed with. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's fair enough. They're 8-1. Like, why wouldn't they? They have to be looking basic championship or bust.
So my question then is, did some of these Spartans players walk away with a bad taste in their mouth? Oh, we should have put up more points against this team. They only had 9 guys and they're a bottom 2 team.
I'm pretty sure they were just happy with the win.
Probably.
All right,
A win is a win.
so let's move on. We got Knights, Dime City, Boone. So Knights have been pretty much in that 4 spot. They've been locked in there for a while.
But here's my question, Horace.
Mm-hmm.
Knights gave up 24 points recently.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the Knights, actually. Let's see. Knights. Pulling up them. So they're 6-2-1 now. They just lost 6-24 to Union. Close win against Boonton, 13-7. 6-6 over us, and a 6-0. I mean, they're having the very impressive wins came the first 3 weeks. And while they're still playing very good, yes, while they're still playing very good, they've given up more points in recent weeks. They had a couple, a lot of shutouts on the season.
Mm-hmm.
But, 6 points, 7 points, 24 points. They've been giving up more points than ever now. And I'm just wondering, I know they beat Boonton 13-7. Beat them straight up. There was no elements in that game. Weather was fine that game. But is Boonton a scarier team come playoff time? Let's not forget Boonton, the year they went to the championship, Horace, 2 seasons ago.
Oh boy.
They were like a 6 or 7 seed.
Yeah.
And they got hot.
Oh, honestly, I think the 2 scariest teams in the league right now are Boone and the Hurricanes, especially now that the Hurricanes have 20 guys showing up to their games. I looked over at their sideline while they were playing Code Red, and they had an unbelievable bench. I didn't know that they had this many players on their team.
Yeah, and I didn't play against the Hurricanes last season. They weren't on our schedule. But I can't even remember a lot of those guys. I mean, a lot of teams, they really don't change players that often. I mean, Code Red is, pretty much the same core group of guys, guy here or there moves. Boonton is pretty much the same. You could say that with most of these teams. But I looked over at that Hurricanes team, and I was, obviously you knew of a couple of the core guys, but it's like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? I never
a lot
remember
of unrecognizable faces. One guy I noticed was number 7. I haven't seen before. I think just looking at his thing at the roster, his name's Adam Curry. That guy is good. I mean, there's still a lot of the same guys. We saw Kevin Scholl still make plays.
Mm-hmm.
We still saw the captain, of course. We saw Kilkenny. We saw Sea Monster. A lot of these guys are the same.
By the way, Horace, what is the name of the gentleman that was playing quarterback? He's been a mainstay at that team for many years, and he's played quarterback for them before. In fact, I remember we scrimmaged against him our first year in the league, and he played quarterback for them, but I cannot remember his name.
Are you talking about Kilkenny?
No. I'm talking about the other gentleman that played quarterback for them this past week.
I actually don't even know. I want to guess it's Michael Yearwood, but I have no idea.
Michael Yearwood, number 5. And that might be him. He seems to fit the bill. Hurricanes, we know some of you will be watching. Let us know. Give him props. He played a solid game. He is pretty solid at quarterback. I remember that year that we played them, we actually scrimmaged them. And then in the playoffs, it's so interesting how we made the playoffs that year. We had 2 wins, no ties. It was 12 out of 14 teams made the playoffs that year. It's interesting. And I believe
that's when the league had way too many players.
Yeah.
Or way too many teams. There were a lot of bad teams that year.
Yeah, there were a lot more bad teams than there are now. I think Kilkenny was the one who played quarterback against us in the playoffs. So
yeah, he was. I remember because he complimented me. He called me a better pass rusher than you.
He said that?
Yeah. He said all the pressure is coming from one side. They had you locked up that game, buddy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay, Smith. It happens. It happens. Okay, I found out the quarterback is Greg Colheim.
Greg Colheim.
Number 3.
How were you able to figure that out?
Quite easily. I went through Vimeo, see who was a quarterback against the Union, and there he was in his beanie and the number 3 jersey.
How about that? Yeah, and you have to wonder. I mean, Hurricanes, is some of this? I mean, are they rallying for Farouk? Obviously, Farouk is a great guy. He's close with so many of these guys. His father just passed away. Eli Hamu. You know, our condolences out to Farouk's father and the entire family. But you wonder if part of it's like, hey, listen, Farouk, he gives his heart and soul to this team. The least that we could do is show up and play 100% because
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of a touchy subject, but I mean, that could be part of it. Part of it's also because they all realize that the playoffs are next week and they need to get in. So,
yeah. And I think, Hurricanes, they never missed the playoffs ever in JAMS history. They've never had anything close to this amount of losses in a given season in their history. So I think a lot of it is pride and, so.
All right,
we'll leave it at that. They're definitely a scary team. They're definitely a scary team, though, for sure. I think Boonton's a little bit more scary. I just think that their skill position players are, man. I mean, Ardell is in rare form. He missed a lot of games later last season. They were missing him last season. Brandon at quarterback, he's something, Horace. We saw it firsthand with our own eyes. You played more defense than you have all season, so you actually played against him. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I never got to play as the. Oh, I did get to play as an end, but he never really ran outside my thing. But when he runs, he's a big threat. He does have the arm to make plays. He's a weapon. I mean, look at them. They're the second highest scoring team in the league right after Swag. Part of it's also because of us. But these guys, they do have weapons. If they had an offensive line, as you were saying before, I think this is off air, they could be one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have a bad line. They don't. But that's not their strong suit. And that is definitely an area that they can improve in a lot. And if they could match their offensive line play, their defensive line play with their skill position players, man, would that team be something? Mm-hmm. And I think they still can be something. Even the championship year, where they didn't win the championship, came so close. They did not have great offensive line play. That kind of was their Achilles heel, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So let's say Dime City. We didn't touch upon them so much. Apparently, they didn't take their game against GPAC very seriously. GPAC only fielded 8 guys. I'm not sure what was Dime City's deal. Did they have a full, thing of guys? But apparently, both teams didn't take it very serious. And GPAC put up just as much touchdowns as they put up all year. Horace, is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I think. Let's see. GPAC is they basically equaled the season total in just one game. Not saying much, but still, I'm kind of getting worried about Dime City. Like, as much as we show them love, I mean, they've only their first 2 losses came in the first 2 weeks. That was against Spartans and Swag, but I just don't. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I don't know what the reason is, but I felt like they were a much more explosive and dangerous team last year.
Horace, I got a reason for you. You ready for it?
Hit me.
Casey Tim Tebow is not playing quarterback.
Come on. I was expecting something serious.
No, but seriously, though. No, let's address it for what it is. He came in and won 4 or 5 games in a row for them after they started off 0-2, 0-3, whatever it was last season. Mm-hmm. And I get it. He's a very good lineman in his own right. Mm-hmm. So having him at line, I guess, makes their offensive line better. But is he a better quarterback than Charlie Bays, who they got at quarterback now?
I mean, I haven't seen enough of Charlie, but the 1 or 2 games I have seen of him, I wasn't crazy impressed. I also don't feel like Michael Gordon's getting as much wiggle room. I feel like he's getting hit behind the line scrimmage a lot earlier than he was last year.
Yeah, I personally, the couple games that I saw of them, I haven't seen the big Michael Gordon plays. I did see, and even when we played them, I guess he had I came a little late to that game. I think he did have an early touchdown against us. He did have another touchdown that was actually called back. There was either holding on the play or a block in the back, something like that. So you kind of saw some of the explosive plays right there, but it didn't count. And with the lack of film that we have this year, it's not like I can go back and really look at some stuff. But I haven't seen the big plays that I saw so many of last year.
Yeah. All right. So let's keep chugging along. Code Red, they've been there. The bottom three have been the same. I mean,
yeah. Code Red, I mean, that's a tough loss. I expected a little bit more from them this week, to be honest.
I mean, Code Red just has really bad tense issues. For a team that's playoff aspirations, they have at most like 12 guys a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then if one guy gets hurt, you're basically only rotating another one person in for the 10 other guys.
Yeah, just a very different game than what they played last week. 38-0. I don't care if GPAC had 7 guys, still to put up 38 points. Tip your hat to Code Red for that. We couldn't do that against GPAC. So, I mean, is Code Red a lock for the playoffs, Horace?
I think they are. I think they won enough games. Actually, if they lose,
no. If they lose,
and we win,
Hurricanes, both us and Hurricanes would be in, and Code Red would be out.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. But if they win, they're in.
Yeah. So winning in. So this is essentially a playoff game for them as well this week.
Uh-huh.
All right, and then we got VS and GPAC. We will be either next week or the following week. We will have Black Mamba on the show to discuss GPAC, their season, and why he made the switch back to GPAC, amongst other things. So definitely looking forward to that. You want to tune in and watch that. All right. Anything else, Horace, before we move on to the picks?
I think we go straight ahead to the picks, honestly.
All right, Horace. So our first game this week is?
Dime City and Code Red.
Dime City and Code Red. Horace, what are your thoughts?
Actually, you want to switch the schedule real quick so everyone can see?
Okay. Just at the right time where I took my screen share off.
I'm sorry you don't get enough FaceTime, but
no, Horace, this is all about you because your profile says you're a little, I don't know what you call that, a sign-off thing or whatever.
Oh yeah, the signature.
your signature, man. What did you voted best looking JAMS player and all effort second teamer?
I mean, it's what the fans tell me, man. It's what the fans do. I can't do anything about it.
So me putting the camera on, that's all about you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Horace, you wanted me to go to the standings or the schedule?
The schedule.
All right. So here's the schedule.
Mm-hmm. So here we are, Dime City Code Red. I mean, as usual, we predict the scores, and I have for this game. I got Dime City over Code Red 20-7. I think Dime City's going to take this game seriously just because this is what they usually do. Like, they're gearing up for the playoffs. I think they're due for a big win. I think this could be it.
Yeah, let's face it. There's not that many teams that aren't making the playoffs this year. There's only 3 out of 11 that don't. And Dime City's last 2 games are against 2 teams that are not going to make the playoffs. And Code Red very well could be a playoff team. So – I think Dime City's going to just take this game a little bit more serious. If they don't, they have a serious problem because really you don't want to go. And listen, they also let up 12 points against VS. So did they not take that game seriously as well? You don't want to go into the playoffs rusty. You don't want to go into the playoffs soft. You want to come in guns blazing. So I do think that they'll take this game seriously as well. I think they're the better team. Much superior on the line, offense and defense. And then Code Red, I got Dime City 12-7.
All right. So we're in agreement there, just a variance on the score. Second game is us. We're going to skip that as usual. What about Union versus the Boonton Bounty Hunters?
I think this is a pretty good game. I'm not sure that Union has had any real success against Union in recent years. I can't certainly think of it, but
Union Boonton hasn't had recent success against Union.
I'm asking, has Boonton had success against Union in recent years? Like, there are some teams that have given Union trouble. For example, Swag has. Let's see. Anyone else come to mind?
I mean, just the usual Hurricanes Union battle, but yeah.
Hurricanes Union? Yeah. But anyway, Boonton, they certainly really impressed me. I mean, I know we let up 34 points. but they earned those points, and there was some bad play against us. Some poor tackles.
A lot of poor tackles, blown coverages.
Just for the record as well, let's just get this out there because listen, there was confusion. I like to think that we're pretty well invested into the league rules and everything, Horace, but there was some confusion, and I'm glad that Haroon came shortly afterwards to clear it up. But apparently, as the ref said this week, that they've been doing video challenges all season. All season. That's what the one ref said. He said we've done video reviews before. So there was a questionable. I came and pulled Brandon Bowen's flag off on an extra point, and one ref ruled that I had pulled the flag off before he threw the ball. The other said no, he got it off, and it was a conversion. It was good. So because there was discrepancy, Omar Shakir, the Boonton captain, said, hey, listen, can I get a review? I want to challenge that. The one ref said, you really want that? Fine. He went over to the guy who was recording the game, looked at the film, and he said, you know what? The conversion is good. Haroon then comes afterwards and says, no, you can't do video reviews. So we're about to get into the playoffs now, and we don't want anyone getting screwed over. Listen, that play had absolutely no outcome.
I was about to say the only difference that play would have made for us is that the score would have been 32-0 instead of 34-0.
Yeah, I mean, we got blown out. We got our butts kicked regardless.
32.
But had that been a one – listen, there's been so many games that have been decided by 1 point in this league. We've had ties this year, Horace.
Mm-hmm.
So we just want to get something like that corrected come playoff time. I mean, it could be a big play. It could be a touchdown play. It could be something like that. So – rule book, you cannot do any video reviews. This is not the NFL. There's not indisputable evidence to overturn it. There's not multiple camera angles. No, you can't do it, even though it happened in this game. But it had absolutely no change in the outcome of our game. We got our butts kicked anyway. So,
right,
who do you like in this one, Boonton or Union, Horace?
Wait, did you say your own score prediction?
I didn't. I want you to say it first.
All right, I got 26-18 in this one. I wanted to pick a little bit of a weird score just because I feel like this is a high-scoring one. And just I don't know. I'm pretty sure Union will get a couple extra point conversions here or there. Well, they'll just get that one.
I too think that this will be high scoring, and my score is a high score in JAMS. I got 20-13 Union.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
all right.
We're both still in agreement on who are winning the first two games. Spartans Knights. Before we got on the air, I said, "Oh, this is a good one." Mm-hmm.
Good one.
These two teams marry each other pretty well. I mean, two physical teams, great lines. They have playmakers at wide receiver, but they still aren't that great offensively. So
yeah, definitely better defensive teams than offensive teams.
Actually, hold on. I remember just looking this up real quick. If you look at the points for Spartans, actually are in third place for that. So maybe we've been underestimating them.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's 42 points against GPAC, but
yeah, they haven't had their GPAC and BS buys.
Oh, stop it, Horace. Yeah, it's a tie for third place. Union also has the same exact points as Spartan.
Mm-hmm. But
then there's a pretty decent points. Yeah, big difference.
Actually, you mind clicking the points allowed real quick? This is the thing that we were talking about before. The most surprising thing to me, points allowed, top team or tied for top is Swag. Who saw that one coming? This is a team that always gets allowed for their offense. We've always praised their offense, but their defense has given up nothing.
Yeah, and they're so good at getting turnovers too. We don't have any stats here, but D'Lo's always at the top of the league in interceptions. Their linebackers know how to pick off balls. Manny's obviously did Manny catch a pick against us? I know we threw 4 picks in that game.
Honestly, I don't remember who called what.
But really, turnovers is where they excel on defense, in my opinion. I don't think that they dominate on the line.
I think it's still their skill positions at wide receiver translate really well at cornerback, and those guys are just athletic enough to just pick off anything.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Horace, so what is your score for this game?
So I was actually really tempted to throw in a tie right here, but eventually I went 8-6 Spartans. Like
8-6 Spartans.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an extremely close score. I have 7-6 Spartans. I think Spartans prefers to go for one most times. I think that's what Omar does. And I said that he's one of the best at getting conversions, which are huge in this league.
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2 point conversions could be a game changer. So I see a 7-6 game.
It's
Omar
kind of
Boston went through many of those last year. Sorry, what's so weird, Ars?
I think it's so weird that getting conversions in this league is like difficult. Like we're only going for like, I think 1 point is at the 2-yard line, 2 points at the 5-yard line, and then I don't know what 3 points is, but still,
I think it's 15 yards if I'm not mistaken.
I think 3 points might be at the 10-yard line. That's what would make sense to me at least. But like teams, we're just not good at getting conversions in this league. So
yeah,
maybe Big O is onto something for just going for one each and every time.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. But sometimes people like to work with the extra field, because obviously when you get down in the red zone, you have less room to work with. You don't want your guys running out the back of the end zone. So sometimes people like that little bit of extra room.
All right. Anyway, on it.
Yeah, I don't know that we got any pro football focusers to come in and do some intense stats.
And we have Safe Bossy. He could definitely whip up something, right?
What can't Safe do? All right, so we got Swag and G-Pack.
All right, so I said 36-0 for this one.
36-0. I have this one 38-0.
My big question for this game is how many people would G-Pack show up with?
Yeah, and I don't see Swag letting off the gas at all. As I've said in previous years, it's all about seeding. And right now, they have the same exact record as the Spartans. They both have only allowed 44 points on the season. Swag has probably scored about 20 or so more points on the season. But I remember D'Lo last year. He was calling timeouts, trying in a blowout game, in an effort to score more points, because he said, "Listen, playoff seeding, it comes down to point differential." I mean, would this game, if it's just them at 8-1, would it go down to head-to-head tiebreaker?
I think so. I actually don't know. I would assume it would go by point differential just because it's standings.
Yeah, but you know what? I think if there's only 2 teams, it's head-to-head. If there were 3 teams, then it would be point differential. So maybe Swag won't try to run up the score, but I just don't see them playing like that. I see them play very hard regardless. They want to win. And
yeah, I mean, like D'Lo said, point differential matters. Right now, they're like a full game score ahead of the Spartans. Like if Swag was only to score like 3 points off pick six or off like a conversion or something, they'd still be ahead.
Yeah. Now, will they go out and will they call timeouts in an effort to score more points? I don't know that they'll do something like that, but you want to go into the playoffs clicking on all cylinders, and I can't see them say like, "Oh, we'll play our backups in this game," or "We'll take it easy on them." I can't see anything like that at all.
It's football Sunday. I'm guessing they're going to try to get out there quick and get home pretty fast. So.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so Horace, anything before we close out?
I mean, it's just do or die for us at this point, playoff-wise. This last week is literally, if we don't win, there's no next week for us. I mean,
yeah, it's do or die for us.
We do or die for Code Red, do or die for Hurricanes.
Yep. So it should be fun, to say the least.
We'll see.
We'll see. Inshallah, God willing. All right, Horace, it was very fun as usual. We look forward to hearing from you guys. As always, you guys make it a little bit more fun when you comment and give your thoughts and opinions. So we will see you next time, inshallah, God willing. Have a great week of games.
Salam.